We were part of Telecom New Zealand, which is the incumbent telecommunications company in New Zealand. We were a standalone business responsible for the access network part of Telecom up until 2011, when we split off and separated off. We separated as a consequence of government running a tender process for people who could receive government investment to support the faster deployment of a fibre network in New Zealand. One of the characteristics of that is that you couldn't own any part of a retail business if you received the government funding. We won 70% of the funding available in New Zealand, and as a consequence we had to structurally separate from Telecom New Zealand. To win 70% for Chorus was a pretty major exercise. One, we had to persuade our then owners to effectively separate us and list us separately on the stock market. We had to produce a pretty compelling proposition to win against other parties and mobilise a large group of people to basically, I guess, put the business case together internally for why it was in the best interest of then Telecom New Zealand to separate us off from the rest of them and allow us to invest what effectively is $3 billion worth of shareholders' money in building the new fibre network. Building fibre networks isn't new anywhere in the world. I mean, I guess the first ones were probably built 20 years or so ago. The particular challenges you get in New Zealand is that we're a long, thin country with mountains that run down the middle, and people like to live by the sea. So we actually live in reasonably densely populated areas in small parts of the country. So you've got distances between places is quite large. Fibre's got to run those, and then when you get to build it, you've got to construct assets that mostly people want underneath the ground, whilst people are still working and playing in those areas. Alcatel-Lucent have been involved in the project from the word go, because at the time of us bidding for the Ultra-fast Broadband network contract in New Zealand, Alcatel-Lucent were a partner of Telecom, have been, I guess, since the late 1990s in terms of the preferred supplier of the electronic equipment that goes with the building of networks. Alcatel-Lucent for Chorus in New Zealand does three things. It provides, I guess, the broadband equipment, or what might think about the electronics there associated with providing broadband services. It provides a bunch of IT systems in terms of network management tools and the software we use to activate services. And the third thing it does is that it runs our network operations centre for us as a sort of outsourced contract. I think what fibre and better broadband does for New Zealand businesses who are into cloud computing, it allows services to be hosted in New Zealand and them to be used all around the world, because we're providing tremendously good infrastructure in New Zealand that is connected by fantastic fibre infrastructure to the rest of the world. So it means that people can do things universally just in New Zealand and not rely on infrastructure in other parts of the world.